Most people treat anger like a curse, something that ruins relationships, wrecks focus, and burns discipline to the ground. Musashi treated it like a blade. Dangerous? Yes, but unstoppable when held with control. Most people let anger ruin them. Miyamoto Musashi used it to become inevitable, not by exploding, not by letting it out, but by doing something colder, sharper, and more disciplined than anyone expects from a man known for duels. And if you've ever felt that heat rise in your chest because you got ignored, underestimated, disrespected, outworked, then you're holding the same fuel Musashi did. Tonight, you'll learn 3 things. First, the one mistake that makes anger destroy your discipline instead of build it. Second, Musashi's rule for using anger without losing control. Third, a tonight ritual that turns anger into progress in 10 minutes without needing motivation, willpower, or some perfect morning routine. But there's a price for using anger as fuel, and most people pay it without realizing what they're buying. You start strong, a new plan, a new schedule, a new version of you, and then life happens. You wake up tired. You check your phone for a second. You miss 1 day, then 2. Then suddenly it's been weeks and you're back in the same place, telling yourself you'll restart on Monday like Monday is some magical temple of discipline. And the worst part, it's not that you don't care. It's that your emotions drive your actions more than your values do. A comment ruins your mood. A bad client call hijacks your focus. A single inconvenience gives your brain permission to quit. That enemy has 2 faces: emotional impulsiveness and inconsistency. You don't need more intensity. You need control. Because anger is not your problem. Your problem is what you do the moment anger appears. In a few minutes, you'll learn the exact moment anger becomes useful instead of toxic. But first, you need to see it through Musashi's eyes on a road where one mistake didn't cost you a productivity streak. It cost you your future. Morning in feudal Japan doesn't begin with alarm clocks. It begins with cold mist hugging the road like breath held too long. Wooden sandals tapping a rhythm into dirt. A traveler's cloak pulled tight. Not for style survival, Musashi walks alone. Not because he can't find company. Because solitude is training. Every step is a lesson. Patience, posture, awareness. He watches the tree line the way most people watch notifications. Ahead, a dojo, the kind of place with clean gravel, straight beams, and young men practicing the same cuts 1,000 times. Convinced repetition equals mastery. Doesn't announce himself like a celebrity. He just arrives, and that's what irritates them. A student spots him first, then another. Whispers spread like sparks. That's him. The wanderer. The outsider. The one who doesn't bow the right way. The one who wins and leaves. The dojo head steps forward, polite on the surface. Sharp underneath, they offer a friendly match. But the invitation is a trap wrapped in manners. Musa hears the insult hiding inside their respect, and something rises in him. Not rage yet. Pressure behind the ribs. A red mist, threatening to blur his vision. The young men smirk, hoping he'll snap, because if they can make him emotional, they can make him predictable. Musashi's hand hovers near his sword. The dojo holds its breath, and right there, right at the edge of action, Musashi does something that looks like hesitation, but is actually a weapon. He restrains himself. He lowers his gaze. He adjusts his stance. And he smiles, just slightly, like he's seeing a move on the board they haven't noticed. They think they've won. They think they've provoked him. They have no idea what he's about to do. And you won't either yet. Because the decisive moment of this duel comes later. But first, you're going to learn the method Musashi used to turn anger into forward motion without letting it turn him into a fool. A method we'll call the Red Mist Protocol, and by the end, you'll know how to hold anger like Musashi held steel, deliberate and aimed. So let's begin with the first rule. the one that decides whether anger becomes power or poison. Chapter 1. The spark has a name. Rule 1. Name the anger. Anger feels like a wave, but it always starts as a pin, a tiny point of contact, a moment your brain labels as unfair. Musashi stands outside the dojo, listening to the polite insults, and he doesn't tell himself, "I'm angry." He tells himself the truth. They want to bait me. That's different, because unnamed anger becomes a storm. Named anger becomes data. Most professionals don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they can't identify their triggers fast enough, so they react to the emotion instead of responding to the situation. Here's the open loop. In a moment, I'll show you the one mistake that makes anger destroy discipline, and it starts with naming the wrong thing. Musashi's eyes shift. He doesn't stare at faces. He watches hands, feet, posture. He's asking, what exactly is happening here? Not how do I feel? Because feelings are loud, but facts are sharp. Try this tomorrow morning. Before you start work, write one line. What makes me lose focus lately is underscore. Not stress, not life. Be precise. Being ignored in meetings. Seeing other creators grow faster. Clients changing scope last minute. Name the pin. Because if you can name it, you can aim it. And Musashi is about to aim. But first, he uses the second rule, the one that keeps anger from hijacking your hands. So what does he do in the exact second before conflict? Chapter 2. The pause is a weapon. Rule 2. Pause on purpose. You think discipline is about pushing. Sometimes, it's about stopping. Musashi feels the red mist rising, and he doesn't move forward. He pauses. On purpose. Not a passive pause, an active one. He shifts his posture. He lengthens his spine. He lets his shoulders drop, because posture is a lever for the nervous system. And if you don't control your body controls your choices. Here's your open loop. Soon, you'll learn Musashi's rule for using anger without losing control, and it begins with this pause. The dojo wants him to react, to step in. Fast. To swing, fast. To prove something. Musashi does the opposite. He breathes once slow, not because he's calm, because he's choosing calm, and that single breath creates space between trigger and action. That space is where discipline lives. Asterisk. Try this tomorrow morning. Asterisk. When you feel irritated, mail message. Comment. Do this before you respond. Inhale through the nose for 4 seconds. Exhale for 6 seconds. Lift your chest slightly. Relax your jaw. Then decide your next move. Not your emotions' next move. Your move. Because anger without pause is a thrown blade. Anger with pause becomes a held blade. And in the next chapter, you'll learn the rule that turns that held blade into a single clean strike, so your energy stops scattering. But what happens when your anger wants to attack everything at once? Chapter 3. One target, not 1,000. Rule 3. Convert anger into a single target. Anger makes you want to do everything, reply to everyone, fix everything, prove everything. That's how it drains you. Musashi doesn't let anger become noise. He converts it into a single target. Not I'll show them, but I will win the first exchange. Small, clear, immediate. Here's the payoff. Remember the mistake that makes anger destroy discipline. It's this using anger as an identity instead of a tool. When you say I'm an angry person, you scatter. When you say I'm angry about this, you aim. Open loop. In a few chapters, you'll see Musashi choose the wrong target once, and it almost ends him. At the dojo, the students want spectacle. Musashi wants outcome. He doesn't waste energy performing. He chooses the next action that moves the situation forward. For you, as a professional, the single target might be finish 1 page of the report, send 1 follow-up. Ship 1 revision, make 1 sales call, not fix my whole career. One target. Try this tomorrow morning when you feel anger. Write, my anger wants me to underscore. Then rewrite it as, one action that proves I'm in control is underscore. Anger becomes fuel when it has a destination, but even with a target, you can still quit. Because quitting is easy when the path is smooth. So Musashi adds friction. What kind of friction makes discipline almost automatic? Chapter 4. Make quitting expensive. Rule 4. Use friction. You don't rise to your goals. You fall to your environment. Musashi traveled with very little, not because he was poor, because comfort makes you soft, and softness makes quitting cheap. Musashi made quitting expensive. He trained in conditions where stopping wasn't an option: cold mornings, long roads, awkward meals, hard floors, not as punishment, as preparation. Open loop. Later, you'll learn how to create friction in a modern life full of convenience without turning your day into misery. At the dojo, Musashi doesn't accept their terms completely. He subtly changes the conditions. He refuses to be rushed into their tempo. He makes them adjust. That's friction for you. Friction means removing the easy exits. Try this tomorrow morning. Pick one discipline you keep quitting, then add one piece of friction against quitting. Put your phone in another room for 30 minutes. Schedule a calendar block and invite one person. Set your laptop to open your work file first, not your feed. Lay out your gym clothes next to your bed. You're not relying on motivation. You're engineering inevitability. And once quitting gets harder than continuing, anger stops being chaos and starts being momentum. Next, Musashi trains under pressure because calm discipline is easy. But can you stay disciplined when your heart is pounding? Chapter 5.com. Training lies. Rule 5. Train under pressure. If you only practice when you feel good, you're practicing a fantasy. Understood this. The road is pressure. The dojo is pressure. The stare of men who want you to fail is pressure. So, he trained inside it. Controlled exposure, not reckless risk, deliberate discomfort. Open loop. Soon, you'll learn the moment. Almost let pressure turn anger into stupidity. And how he pulled it back? The dojo head gestures toward the training floor. Students, circle in. Musashi can feel the hunger in the room. They want him to flinch. They want him to prove he's human. Musashi welcomes that pressure because pressure reveals what your habits really are. For you, pressure might be working when you're tired, presenting when you feel underprepared, creating when you feel unseen. Try this tomorrow morning. Do one small task under mild pressure on purpose. Set a timer for 12 minutes and work without stopping. Send the email you've been rewriting for days. Practice. You'll pitch out loud once. Pressure is not the enemy. Untrained pressure is, and Musashi is about to show you the rule that makes discipline survive, even on bad days. Because the real danger isn't failing once. It's the gap that follows. So what does Musashi do when the day is ugly? Chapter 6. No gaps. Rule 6. Minimum viable. Practice closing parenthesis. Most people don't quit from one big failure. They quit from a small gap. One missed day that becomes permission. Musashi didn't allow gaps. Even when traveling, even when exhausted, even when conditions were wrong, he kept a minimum, a baseline practice that preserved identity. Open loop. Later, I'll give you the tonight ritual built around no gaps, so you can convert anger into progress in 10 minutes. At the Musashi warms up differently than the others. Not flashy, not loud, foundational, because foundations are what remain when emotions collapse. For you, no gaps might look like: if you can do 60 minutos, do 6. If you can't write 1,000 words, write 100. If you can't hit the gym, do 10 push-ups. The point is not volume. The point is continuity. Try this tomorrow morning. Define your minimum viable practice for one goal. Write it down as a rule. On my worst day, I still do _. Now anger can't knock you off the path, because the path is too small to miss. But there's still one problem. Anger can make you productive, and still make you blind. So Musashi adds the 7th rule, the one that turns anger into insight instead of repetition. What did the red mist reveal? Chapter 7. Close the loop. Rule 7. Reflection after the battle. Anger always reveals something, a value, a fear, a wound, a standard. If you don't reflect, you repeat. Musashi didn't just fight opponents. He fought patterns. After confrontation, he reviewed, not with shame, with curiosity, open loop, in the darkest moment later. You'll see what happens when anger is treated as fuel, but not as information. The dojo match begins. Still not the final duel we teased. Not yet. This is a test. A measuring Musashi moves economically. He doesn't waste motion. And when the exchange ends, he doesn't celebrate. He observes. For you, after a heated moment at work, after you want to quit, after you want to lash out task, what did that anger point to? Try this tomorrow morning. Write 3 lines after your work block. What triggered me? What did I do? What will I do next time? This closes the loop. Anger becomes a teacher, not a tyrant. Now your method has the 7 core rules, but to make them usable in real life, we're going to train them through Musashi's next steps, because the dojo is only the beginning, and the insult that started all this. It's about to get worse. What happens when the provocation becomes personal? Chapter 8. Insult is a test of aim. Red Mist Protocol in action. Here's the truth nobody tells you. People will test you the moment you start improving. Not always consciously, but improvement changes your posture, and posture threatens. People who rely on your old version, steps back from the first exchange. The dojo head smiles thin, satisfied, and then he says something meant to hook Musashi's ego. A line about Musashi's luck. A line about wandering without a master. A line that implies, you're not disciplined. You're just wild. Musashi feels it. That surge. Prove yourself. But he names it. Trigger. Ego bait. Then he pauses. Then he chooses a single target. Not destroy them. Just maintain my tempo. Payoff. Remember, open loop. When anger becomes useful instead of toxic. It becomes useful the moment you can aim it at behavior, not at identity. Toxic anger says, I'll show them who I am. Useful anger says, I'll do the next right action with more precision than usual. Try this tomorrow morning, when you feel baited, at work, anywhere. Say quietly, this is a test of aim. Then do the next action that aligns with your goal, not your pride. And if you're thinking, okay, but what if the anger is real? What if I am being treated unfairly? Good. Because Musashi faced real unfairness too, and his next move shows you how to respond without becoming reckless. But first there's one sentence you need to hear before we go deeper. If you're still here, you're the kind of person who can actually control fire. Subscribe for the next lesson. Now watch what Musashi does next. Because this is where most people ruin everything. Chapter 9. The Red Mist wants the wrong fight containment test. Anger loves shortcuts. It wants relief. It wants you to send the text. Slam the door. Quit the job. Post the rant, anything for release. Musashi knows that release is the trap. Because release feels like power. But it usually trades tomorrow for today. Open loop. In the darkest moment, you'll see Musashi nearly choose release and what it cost him. The dojo head offers another match. The students shift. Eager Musashi notices something. They want him to fight on their schedule, their floor, their audience, their rules. That's not courage. That's manipulation. So, Musashi does something that looks like disrespect. He delays. He makes them wait. He doesn't give his anger away for free. For you, containment might be not replying immediately, not announcing your next move, not quitting mid-emotion. Asterisk, asterisk. Try this tomorrow morning. Asterisk, asterisk. Pick one recurring trigger, then write a delay rule. When this happens, I wait 20 minutes before acting. Anger is powerful, but only if it remains yours. And next, you'll learn how Musashi uses a strange kind of friction to make discipline stick. What if the fastest way to stay consistent is to let someone see you working? Chapter 10. Witnessed discipline modern friction. Musashi traveled alone, but he wasn't invisible. His reputation followed him like thunder in the distance, and he used that not to boast to bind himself to a standard. Professionals often rely on private motivation. That's fragile. Musashi relied on public commitment to a code. Open loop. Soon, you'll get the tonight ritual, and one step will use witnessed discipline without needing a team at the dojo. Musashi's calm starts to unsettle them, because they can't read him. They can't predict the moment he'll strike, and in that uncertainty, they begin to doubt their own skill. That doubt is pressure. Musashi trained for it. You can too. Asterisk, asterisk. Try this tomorrow morning. Asterisk, asterisk. Create one witness for your discipline. Send a daily one-line update to a friend. Post a private checklist. Screenshot to someone you trust. Put your work block on a shared calendar. You're not doing it for praise. You're doing it to make quitting socially expensive. Now we've built the method, but there's a part we still haven't revealed. Rule for using anger without losing control. It's not breathing. It's not mindset. It's something sharper. And it's coming right after we return to the road, where Musashi learns what happens when anger is justified and still dangerous. So what happened after the Chapter 11. The road after victory, the hidden cost. Musashi leaves the dojo the way he arrived, quietly. No celebration, no performance, because he knows something most people don't. Winning doesn't remove anger. Sometimes it strengthens it. You win once, and now you want to win always. That hunger can build greatness, or it can turn you into a slave. Open loop. But there's a price for using anger as fuel. You're about to see the price. On the road, Musashi hears rumors. A rival school, a stronger OPPONENTA reputation challenge, and his anger shifts. It's no longer about insult. It's about destiny. That's dangerous, because destiny talk feeds ego, and ego is the easiest target for anger to protect. Asterisk, asterisk. Try this tomorrow morning. Asterisk, asterisk. When you feel driven, ask, is this drive aiming at mastery or at proving? Mastery makes you consistent. Proving makes you volatile. Now, Musashi approaches a new encounter. This one isn't a playful dojo test. This one has consequences, and the red mist gets thicker. So what does Musashi do when the stakes rise? Chapter 12. Musashi's rule for control the blade before the blade. Here it is, the rule you came for. Musashi's rule for using anger without losing control. He never lets anger choose the timing. He chooses the timing. Anger wants now. Musashi chooses when, because timing is dominance. Not over others, over yourself. Payoff: remember the hook. Musashi's rule for using anger without losing control. This is it. You don't eliminate anger. You deny it. The steering wheel. On the road. He arrives near a meeting place. Agreed location. A duel has been set. He knows the opponent expects a certain kind of man. Eager, loud, reactive. Musashi refuses to be that man. He uses timing like a leash. Not to taunt, to prevent his own emotions from rushing him. For you, this looks like Not starting your day with messages. Not responding while heated. Not making major decisions on adrenaline. Asterisk, asterisk. Try this tomorrow morning. Asterisk, asterisk. Choose one timing rule. I don't check email until I complete 30 minutes of deep work. I don't respond to criticism until I draft, wait, then revise. I don't decide to quit on the same day I feel angry. Timing turns anger into a reservoir. Now we're heading into the darkest moment, because even Musashi trained, disciplined, hardened almost wastes his anger on the wrong target. And when that happens, skill doesn't save you. Only clarity does. So what does it look like when a master almost collapses? Chapter 13. Darkest Moment. Anger chooses the wrong target. The duel begins long before blades. It begins in the mind. Musashi waits maybe too long. He hears the crowd. He hears the whispers. He feels the pressure. Prove it. And for the first time, the red mist doesn't just rise. It speaks. It says, make them regret doubting you. That's the wrong target. Because them is not a target. It's a distraction. Anger aimed at people becomes chaos. Anger aimed at a principle becomes progress. Musashi steps forward, and for a heartbeat, just one, he almost swings for ego. Almost swings for reputation. Almost swings for the story. And in that moment, he feels something colder underneath the anger. Fear of being ordinary. That's the price. The price of using anger as fuel is that it will eventually try to take more than it gives. Payoff of loop to the delayed dual outcome. Musashi wins not because he was the most furious. He wins because he regains control of the target. He lets anger sharpen his focus, then locks it onto the decisive action. One exchange. One moment. Not a frenzy. Not a spectacle. The crowd thinks it's about aggression. Musashi knows it's about restraint. Reframe revealed. Anger is information plus fuel, but only after discipline chooses the target. If discipline doesn't choose, anger will choose for you. Try this tomorrow morning. When anger hits, ask, what am I about to aim at? If the answer is a person, refine it. Aim at an action, a boundary, a standard, a deliverable. Now, there's only one loop left. The one mistake that makes anger destroy discipline, and the tonight ritual that converts anger into progress in 10 minutes. So what's the mistake? Chapter 14. Final payoff. The mistake plus the method. The one mistake that makes anger destroy discipline is simple. You use anger as permission to break your own code. You say, I'm angry, so I deserve to slack. Or, I'm angry, so I'm allowed to be reckless. Or, I'm angry, so I can restart tomorrow. That turns anger into an excuse. Musashi never let emotion rewrite the rules. He let emotion power the rules. That's the difference between a fire that cooks your food and a fire that burns your home down. Now, your final payoff. You're not going to get rid of anger. You're going to train it, and you're going to do it tonight. Not with a long routine, not with a perfect plan, with 10 minutes of ritual that respects the red mist, but puts you in charge. Because the goal isn't to be calm all the time. The goal is to be consistent even when you're not. Tonight's ritual. The Red Mist Protocol Reset. 1. Sit down and name it. Write one sentence. I'm angry because. Be precise. One trigger. Not a life story. 2. Do the posture switch. Feet flat. Spine tall. Jaw unclenched. One slow inhale. Longer exhale. Tell your body, I'm in charge. 3. Choose one target action. Write the next action that moves me forward as make it small and finishable tonight. 4. 8. Quitting friction. Remove one escape hatch for the next 20 minutes. Phone across the room. Website blocker. Close tabs. Tidy desk surface. 5. Train under pressure. Micro Set a timer for 4 minutes. Work on the target action with zero switching. You're not chasing quality only contact. Point 6. No gaps pledge, right? Even if tomorrow is bad, I will still do. 7. Close the loop. Write 2 lines. What did my anger reveal? What will I do differently next time? Minimum viable version. Bad day if you're exhausted. Do steps 13 and 5 with a 2-minute timer. No gaps means no gaps. Anger doesn't make you dangerous. Untrained anger does. And if you can learn what Musashi learned, how to name the spark. Pause on purpose. Choose one target. Build friction. Train under pressure. Avoid gaps. And close the loop. Then anger stops being the thing that ruins your week and becomes the thing that builds your life. You don't need less fire. You need a steadier hand. And next time, I'll show you Musashi's other secret weapon, the quiet habit that makes confidence automatic before you ever step into the arena.